of the See You in Valhalla podcast. Sorry, we're just a touch late here. We were trying to come up with the title
I'll
and
fall on
having a
that
couple
sword too.
technical things as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but
Technical things are difficult.
today we're going to be talking about what we should be looking for when you're going to join a gym.
Heck yeah. Last week it might have been off the recorded portion of this whole thing, but I found like a pretty cute little clip. You want to see a cute little clip
Yeah,
on Instagram? Okay, cool. Hold on, time
I'm
out.
nervous now. Should I be
You should be.
nervous? Is it
I'm
of me?
sweating. It's you. It's a before and after picture. No,
Oh
I'm just joking.
God, there's
All right.
probably one of me looking real skinny.
You've probably seen it, and I hope it plays. I really hope that it plays. But have you seen this? Bro, is a taste
Maybe.
test king? Oh my
Yeah,
god, please
maybe.
play.
What's next? After the sugar. Oh, it has to be packed in there, so put it in.
Have you seen this?
Don't
So
eat
good.
the brown sugar.
Don't
Oh my gosh, no.
It is just mouth as wide as possible at all times.
Crack and put it
And watch this
in.
egg.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I want that egg?
No, we don't eat. What? No, we're not eating flour. Okay.
That's me in
3.
chalk. That
Turn it
is
off for now and
insane.
then turn it back on when we get back out of the oven. I never could do that. Oh,
Oh, and they're done.
no eating.
Yeah. I
It finally gets
freaking-
it.
I love that thing.
That is a
It's
good
like
one. That's
me
a good
every
clip.
morning. Like we're running late for school. Obviously, the kids won't turn the TV off in time, and I'm like, Simon, it's 8 o'clock. It's like our 8 o'clock cutoff time, and I'm starting to make pancakes. And then all of a sudden, they want to help make pancakes, which turns into
Mm.
like pancakes are everywhere,
Takes like a
and there's
10
only
minute
one
job, turns it
burner.
into 30.
Yeah, and now we're even more late for school. So, as much as I love this portion of the life, it'll be nice when they don't really care that much about helping me because I'm kind of like a Stalin in the kitchen. I'd rather just get it done, you know.
Like a Stalin everywhere, if that's the case. What do your kids eat the butter just like straight up?
Charlie's really into butter recently. Like pancakes with melted butter don't have butter on it because he can't see it. So I got to do a
Hmm.
couple taps of butter on it, and then he'll agree with me that there's actually butter on it. Does Lily do that, or does Catherine
Yeah,
do that?
kind of. Well, I'm not gonna say Catherine doesn't do that, but
Plausible deniability.
no. Lately, there's been a couple times where it's like we're just catching her sneaking little like she's trying to take her finger through the butter or like pinch off a bit of it, and it's like, what are you doing? That's not what. That's like butter's like supposed to be added to things, not just
It's not the
consumed
main course.
whole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but do you buy like good butter? And when I say good butter, do
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
we get the Irish
Okay, Kerrygold or whatever.
Kirkland one, the
Oh, okay, yeah,
Kirkland version,
that's what
but
we got
yeah.
too. It's like got the more color to it from the beta
Yes.
carotene or who knows what's in it,
Yeah.
whatever additives. Yellow
Or
number
whatever's
5.
not in it, maybe. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
what hasn't been processed out. But that it makes you feel a little bit better about it though, right? Like,
for sure. For sure.
it's
And I think
not.
it makes a flavor difference. And I know for sure there is a difference in fat content in
Yeah.
those.
Did you ever have I can't believe it's not butter or margarine growing up?
No, actually, so I grew up in a pretty religious family.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So anything that wasn't man-made
Was the Amish?
was blasphemy. No, that's what's funny is that like it really wasn't that strict, but it was like, but that was where a
Yeah.
line was somehow drawn. It was
Yeah,
like,
gold
well, no, you
standard.
can't have that, but let's have some Coke, and some Diet
Yeah.
Coke or whatever. It's like what?
And we're talking about
uh,
the drinkable Coke,
yes, yes, not cocaine.
not cocaine.
Yes, not
We
the
do not
powdered
we
stuff.
do not condone the use of cocaine on Seal Valhalla.
But isn't that like that's like I don't know, maybe that's a lot of religious people where there's like that weird um is that being a hypocrite or just irony? Like I don't know where they're like they make this hard rule you can't have I can't believe it's not butter because, you know, God granted us this regular butter, which I mean we still have to make it, so I don't
Yeah.
see how that's, all that relevant. And then down the line you got all these sugary processed foods, but those aren't we're not even gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Because it's good and it does something to the
yeah,
brain. We'll
I
we'll
guess
look
so.
past a lot of things. Okay, so I get it now. So you could have butter, but just not like like a artificial butter.
Yeah, margarine or can't believe it's not butter was not in
Man,
our
I
cupboards
feel
growing
like you
up.
should stay away from it if you never had it, because it's like one of those things where, I mean, I hate the fact that like I actually enjoy the taste of margarine. Is I haven't had it in like 20 something years probably, but like if somebody like, you want a margarine and toast, I'd be like, yep. So
It
if you
sounds
tried it,
delightful.
yeah, if you tried it, it would probably be one of those things where it's like, oh man, now you're gonna go just down like a straight margarine rabbit hole. You know what I mean?
Could be. Could
Stay away
be.
from it. Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
thanks for
so
watching my story.
today, what to look for in a gym. Um, let's make it just standard gym in general. Like you're on the couch, you haven't been in a gym in a while,
Mhm.
or ever maybe. Where do we start? What are you looking for? That sort of thing. What are you
Yeah.
thinking of?
Man. Okay, so say I had never, like you're saying, never ever thought about a gym. I'd honestly look for the closest place possible. If I've been out and about,
Convenience.
it would be convenience. Yeah, would probably be the first thing. Probably go to May I don't know if I have friends that go to the gym, but that might also be another thing. Like, if I've never been,
Accountability.
probably
Or like
uncomfortable.
social
Yeah.
social
Like, I wanna feel
accountability, I guess.
comfortable when I go somewhere, especially if it's something new. If I'm outside of my comfort zone and I'm gonna try something new, I'm gonna try and convince, 1, somebody to come with me. 2, if that's not the case, I might be going where somebody else is going currently, and I would probably go a little bit further, as far as, like, convenience-wise around the house
Okay.
to get somewhere. Um, and then once that would happen, it'd open like a door, a floodgate. I think of like, what do I want to be doing? What am I looking for? Like when you figure out training and that whole thing. But I think that those probably be the two biggest things, like location and do I know anybody? Am I going to feel comfortable in an uncomfortable environment had I never been to a gym? And those are the two best answers that anybody's going to come up with, for being honest with each other.
Yeah, so I'm trying to kind of put those into categories. Convenience, very simple for that first one. I think proximity is very important because if
Hmm.
it's going to be like really out of your way just to get there, and this is like a new
Yeah.
habit you're trying to form, that's like setting yourself up for failure,
Yeah.
right?
Never going
It's
to happen.
like, I want to drink more water, but I'm going to put it, I have an acre backyard and I'm going to put it on the other side of my yard.
Yeah.
And every
Got to
time I need to
earn
fill
it.
this water bottle, I got to go get it. Yeah, I'm just going to stop
Yeah.
drinking water.
Yeah. Just
Um,
Coca-Cola now.
yeah. Man, we're talking a lot about soda on this podcast.
Yeah, geez.
Um, so that
SodaCast.
one I think is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The other one I'm trying to think of like how to kind of like what is it that you're looking for there? Because what I think of is, I mean, this is clearly just they say there's two things in life that there's two types of fear.
Mhm.
There's fear of injury, like actually dying or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's the fear of being outcast from the group, or being ostracized is usually the term
Yeah.
they use, from the group. And those are all kind of innate, like they're natural to us. And so that second one really plays into that fear where it's like I have this fear of being ostracized because I'm afraid I'm going to go there, look silly, be far behind everybody, whatever it is, and kind of be feeling like an outcast. So you want a buddy to kind of help you get over that hump because you
Yeah.
know that your buddy won't outcast you per se.
Yeah, you've got
Um,
that comfort around, like a stuffy or a blanket gonna keep you warm and safe.
so would that be a form of accountability then, you think?
I think it goes both ways. I mean, it had not been accountability in my head at all when I had brought it up, because I had already
Right.
made the decision to go.
But I'm
But
wondering
now
if
that I'm
it
going,
falls under that umbrella though.
yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, would definitely help. And I guess real fast to hit, like, we might be able to come back to it too. Maybe you just remind me, but like my experience of going to the YMCA, like I had been going to CrossFit forever. Like I know what the movements are, but I
Mhm.
got there and I would walk around. I did absolutely nothing when I would go to the Y. It was
This is
crazy.
after CrossFit?
Yeah, like in the middle of COVID, we had
Oh,
started
okay.
going to the Y, just like whatever off times, and who knows, like that part of our life, that's where we were at. Um, and I'd get there and I'd be like, the hell am I doing here? Like, I see the barbells over there, like some dude's like taking all the space, and I don't know what to do with the machines. Like, it was the weirdest feel. Like, I think I went 3 or 4 times, and I was like, I just swam. I was like, I'll just go swim. What am I gonna do
Hey,
here? Like,
that'll be different than
yeah,
the norm.
Yeah. Oof. But
Okay.
yeah, that was
Um,
interesting.
yeah, I think I'm trying to remember. I mean, the last time I was like feeling like a total novice in the gym, I was probably 15.
No.
Um, but we used to go, me and I think there was a decent sized group of us. I think it was like me and like 2 or 3 friends
Mhm.
would go before school. So it was like 5 in the morning. We'd go to the gym. Um, and then we'd all like usually me and my one of my friends would go to we alternate weeks. So like one week we go to his house, we make breakfast at his house and then go to school. And then the next week we go to my house, make breakfast at my house and go to school. But that's kind of how it all started. But I was always like the smallest kid. So I was definitely lost. And then I'm that kid who like takes pointers from just random strangers who just see
Uh-huh.
me maybe doing it wrong or I don't know. And I
Yeah.
have like a little bit of an ego, so I always kind of was like, I'll with a grain of salt take their guidance,
Yeah. Yeah.
which turns out is probably the right approach in general. Like take
Right.
any guidance from a stranger with a grain of salt, even if
Let me
they
tell you
mean
about it in
well,
my
because
van.
sometimes, well, just sometimes people give really bad advice
Yeah.
unknowingly. Like
Yeah.
they're just not
No
the right
bad
person to give
intentions.
advice. Yeah.
No bad intentions, just
Um, but yeah, I just remember I didn't make uh I really didn't make much progress in anything except for curls. Could really make some progress there.
and you've still got those the reminiscent, biceps or
Yeah.
they're still there, man. I've seen them.
But it
Show's
was
working
like that was the
hard.
most enjoyable exercise. I think it was probably because it was probably the hardest one to mess up,
Uh-huh.
and, maybe this is more due to, like, muscle size. It felt like, relative to other people, the weights I was capable of were close,
Yeah,
were close
you can
enough,
handle that.
um, and so it made me feel better about myself to
Mhm.
have that. Whereas the bench press, a little more complex, way under what everybody else was able to do at
Yeah,
that age.
you weren't
So
at
I was
215.
like,
Yeah.
no, it was, yeah, it was, I mean, I couldn't even get a single plate on each side right at that time. I mean, to be fair, I probably weighed 100 pounds,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so that's dates way back to when I was first starting. And I think for me at that age, I'm not even looking, I mean, I guess I was probably thinking it's got to be convenient enough
Mhm.
still.
To get there, yeah.
I clearly was under the umbrella of accountability with some friends, like, we had some friends going, so there was gonna be that kinda, um, helping each other out as far as, like, knowing what to do or maybe grab a spot when obviously, you bench almost every day in high
Yeah,
school as a kid, so, that was kinda nice. We played basketball, but not usually at 5 in the morning, so if we went at night, we'd go play basketball or something,
yeah.
but, and then I'm thinking, I needed probably the ego boost of going to the gym, right? Like I needed to feel like I was working towards what I wanted to look like,
Uh-huh.
probably in that case.
Yeah, and that pump, that feeling, was it, like, strictly, like, the physical look, or was it, like, the actual feeling? Or was it both?
I think sometimes your mind tricks you into the look being there when it's not. And then, like at that age, I don't know if I was good at getting a real pump, but if I
Yeah,
felt it,
yeah,
it made me think it, right?
yeah,
Don't know if it
yeah.
actually worked at that. Like, I didn't start really having a muscular physique until I was probably 20. So you can
You
imagine I was
started to see
pretty
the results.
steady in the gym
Uh-huh.
from 15 for 5 years, from 15 to 20, but I didn't actually see like larger results until I was like 20.
Really? I
Yeah.
hadn't hit puberty at 20, so I was small.
Um, so like, yeah, I mean, I was, yeah, I was a late bloomer, like you're
Were you?
saying.
I
I
was like,
really
he's just
was.
gonna blow right past that awkward
I almost
comment.
didn't even listen to it. I almost didn't even listen. I'm glad I caught back up there.
Yeah, thanks. You would've made me feel
Um,
really uncomfortable. I'd been like, "I think I need to go. Be
I was a
gone."
late bloomer, but honestly, what changed everything for me was just eating more.
Oh, okay.
I started like really eating like pretty much every hour of the day and gained like 20 pounds of muscle, and that changed everything.
Oh, dang. Did we talk about your old eating habits? It seems like we talked about that at one point.
Old as in what? Like what?
Has it changed? First of all, maybe you were just telling me about your recent eating habits. Well, oh wait, we talked
Maybe.
about
No.
nutrition at one point.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about, because we were talking about my BMR or whatever it was, and then, how
Oh,
many
yeah, yeah.
calories I needed to eat, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so probably before I started eating around the clock, I was probably eating, like there were times in my life where I was probably eating once or twice a day, like, actually consuming food, and then there was
Yeah.
other like, a grazer throughout the day, but
Yeah.
not enough to make any sort of substantial marks because I was busy, I was just going all the time.
Yeah.
So I was using a lot of the physical stuff all the time, which is why I never gained any muscle because I was burning way more than I was possibly putting into my
Yeah, you
body.
could've been bringing in.
Yeah.
Oof.
But at any rate, so I do think ego was a big thing I was looking for in the gym
Mhm.
was like help me feel more confident about myself. Um, especially going through those high school times and I'm the small kid. That was
Yeah.
probably feeling important to me at the time.
I wish I would've known the importance of, exercise and fitness when I was in school, because probably would've helped me out for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I knew what I
Mhm.
was doing and or started really being conscious about how to do things right until I was
Mhm.
in my 20s.
Who taught, like, who did you just, like, take a class or something, or what?
No, I started really investing my time and energy into
Oh,
learning more about it. So, a lot of that comes from probably YouTube, in all honesty. YouTube and
yeah,
other websites at the time. This was before, social media was popular in the way it is now.
yeah, and ChatGPT.
Um, like well, because like now you go on Instagram, you could find out pretty much whatever you need to find out, kind of like you
Yeah,
could on YouTube. But back then, really, social media was just interacting with your friends, so or bands like
yeah,
MySpace, right?
y m
Um,
yeah, MySpace.
yeah. So I think that was it. I lost my train of thought completely.
Mm,
I want to
yeah,
get back on track though. So
yeah,
when you're looking for a gym, you've got convenience, accountability, ego, and ego in the not in the negative sense of the word necessarily, although it can go that far.
yeah,
But ego is in like actually we want to be able to leverage our ego in certain situations, right? We need to have enough ego and know when to challenge our own ego and when to leave our ego behind, and when to use our ego to like assert ourselves or whatever it is, right? So ego is actually important in a lot of circumstances.
yeah.
So I want to make that note. So I kind of have these three buckets so far. Can you think of like what else would people be looking at when they're looking to join a gym?
Maybe what, like, the long-term outcome would be from their activities? Like, say I
Okay.
want to go and be, like, a bodybuilder, that's one thing. I'd probably try and find a gym that was, like, conducive to that form of, uh, outcome
Yeah.
activity.
So I guess I just put outcome would be the bucket because that's very valid.
Yeah,
Um,
see what else.
okay.
We happy with those? You want me to try and keep thinking? You
I
still
think
thinking?
I'm trying to think if I am happy or not with that. We'll kind of run through these a little bit and see if we flesh out any more, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds
But
good.
I think a lot of these like these are bigger concepts and then they break down into the smaller ones. So like ego is going to be your weight loss, getting ripped, gaining muscle. It's kind of all those kind of buckets, or
Mhm.
even just physical prowess and capability, right? Like scores on a workout, let's say. That's all kind of ego based. Um, I like thinking of the outcome. I like thinking like, okay, I'm also kind of setting up this habit to where I'm going to be a mover into my ages, right?
Yep,
And
yep,
even if, when I started as like the bodybuilding type of working out, I knew that was still going to lay a foundation for something else going forward if it ever came up or whatever. Like it's all kind of, or it's that the rest of my life. I don't know. It was always kind of that will at least set the tone.
yeah. Oh, and I did think of one more thing, if you wanna write it down. I don't know how
Yeah,
relevant
what's
it
up?
is. Cost.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know why
Which
we
we'll
didn't think of that
definitely
yet.
talk about. We'll definitely talk about that. Yeah, that probably would have
Talk
been
about
fleshed out for sure.
money,
Good one. Good
root
one.
of all evil. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so convenience we know is important. So I think when you're first starting to look for a gym, you should be thinking what radius, like how far out am I willing to go and what's realistic there, right? But you also have to think about sometimes making it really convenient doesn't you leave behind some of these other things. So like garage gyms. A lot of people spent a lot of money building a garage gym to only never use it, but it's like the most convenient thing, right? So if that's the case, we need to understand that there are other parts of this that are more important to that person, right? And so if you're not weighing out all these kind of things that we're trying to categorize right now, it becomes very important, right? For me, working out in my garage feels too close to home, and it is too close to home, literally, right? But you know what I mean, where you can't change your environment. You're going to get interrupted more. It's not like you have this designated like hour of space and time
Mhm.
because you have one door separating you from doing something else
Yeah.
or
Uh,
distracting you.
there was never a more frustrating situation knowing that I was feet away from working out and I never did it. We had a gym set
Yeah.
up in the garage. We'd be sitting around and be like, God damn, I need to get up and go work out. And then I'd be like, dude, but it's like I'm cozy on the couch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have bolts in my cement that I trip over and step on constantly out in the garage that was holding down one of the rigs that we had, and
Mhm.
like I made sure it wasn't going to move. It's not going to fall over. Like I put some time and energy into it, and I think that I could count on one hand how many times we used it over like a 9 month.
Damn.
And it was so mentally deteriorating for me knowing that I wasn't using something that was so close, and it
Yeah.
was like something I never even thought about, like, "Oh, yeah, if I don't use it, whatever," but it was like, "Dude, we, like, spent money on this, like, I spent time and energy to get set aside," and then there's no accountability to go out there and work out, and you always find another reason to be doing something different. It was the weirdest situation to be in.
Okay. Let so so let's look at convenience here. I'm like slowing down. So we
Yeah.
got this bucket of convenience, and we've kind of said you have to kind of establish what are you willing to drive, like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, or do you want it in your garage? Do you truly want it that convenient? What if you have it that convenient, but you're like you, where you're like, I'm not using it. How do I get more out of this? There's no accountability. That's where you start looking to the other buckets to see if you can make a positive impact to make that first bucket work. So let's say we go back to the garage gymmer. How can the garage gym person add accountability to going out in their garage and working out? I have
Dude,
one
if you're
answer. I
asking
don't know if
me,
I have all of them.
I could
Yeah.
not find it. Like, I don't know,
So
man.
and this is where cost would come into play. So right
Yeah,
now, the reason people get a garage gym in the first place, typically because in the long run, it saves them money and it's incredibly convenient.
yeah,
Now it might be a short term, like high cost to get all the stuff, but once it's there, it's there.
yeah,
So then over time, there's no monthly payments on that equipment. It just exists. And typically with only 1 to 2 people using it, it's never going to fall apart.
yeah,
So you've literally set yourself up for the rest of your life. Sounds really great, cost wise, convenience wise. But then we're missing outcome. And if we're missing outcome, we're missing ego, we're missing accountability, potentially, especially to a large degree. So in order to try to get the accountability there, you may now have to go back into a higher cost thing like a coach,
mhm,
right? A coach who's going to tell you exactly what you're supposed to do with the equipment you have. Typically, if they're being very specific towards what you have and you're not just fitting their mold, that's going to cost a lot of money.
yeah,
If you're
right,
just fitting their mold and buying the equipment that that mold has in store for you, then you can go a lower cost. But then there's a sacrifice to outcome there,
yeah,
right? So there is a way to make that convenience a higher level of accountability. But I would argue that because there's no social interaction, um, it's still kind of lame and boring. Like it's not very many people are going to be successful in that scenario
yeah, with
long
just like
term.
an online coach or somebody that you buy,
Hmm.
like in that scenario. Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep going back to like, is the juice worth the squeeze? And so like I have to like for myself, and I might be getting ahead of the game here, but like it's not a short
You always
drive.
are.
Yeah, it's not a short drive for us or myself to get into the gym at
Hmm.
CrossFit Magni. But like I'm getting way more out of this scenario than I ever did when I just had 10 feet to walk to get to the gym. When I just had an open gym at the Y with all the equipment and whatever we needed.
Yeah.
Like all those things. I think that the biggest thing for me is accountability and the social aspect of it. And then also like having like the programming set up for me. Like those things
Yeah.
that I don't have to think about, but then I'm also comfortable walking in. Like I'll kick the door down, like, like I'm here and like, oh, Jeff showed up. Um, so like those sorts of things, like the squeeze or the drive in to where I'm going is worth the juice, or the juice is worth the squeeze, whatever the whole
Yeah.
thing.
It's
But
worth the
yeah,
effort to get the juice. Gotcha.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry.
Which means you're also taking steroids, clearly. The juice, right?
The juice. Yeah, that's right. Is loose.
So I'm looking back over the buckets, and I don't want to discredit you at all, but we actually need to
Yeah.
take cost off of its own bucket, because that's actually under a different bucket. It's under
What bucket
another
did you put it in?
umbrella. That would be under accountability.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because the more you pay, the more accountable you're going to be, basically. Like cost is almost a direct connection to accountability,
hmm
almost 100% of the time.
Do you
So
remember? Do you remember our first conversation when I signed up? Katie was coaching, and I told you I was like, I want to pay full cost. I was like, if I get any sort of a discount, or I'm not like feel like I'm paying for the
mhm,
gym, I'm like, I'm just gonna like, it's just gonna be another thing. It's like I'll just
yeah.
add it up, put it in the same bucket as the gym inside my garage. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So just like that, I hadn't thought about the accountability that way, but you're right, because I did the
Well, and
exact
that's
same
what I
thing.
was saying when we were talking about hiring a coach to make that garage gym more accountable,
hmm
is now you're just adding so much cost that it's like hard for you to not take advantage of what you're being given, basically,
Yeah,
like what you're paying for.
yeah,
Um, because like I said, especially so like if you pay for an individualized program, you're looking at probably at a minimum at this day and age, $250 per month.
oh,
And
seriously.
that's someone who's going to kind of evaluate you on, figure out what your weaknesses are and strengths are, and actually make a program that's to fit you,
hmm
and not just throw you into a cookie cutter. If you want to be thrown into a cookie cutter, that's like where you just hop on someone else's program, and if you do have the equipment, great, you get to do all the stuff. If you don't have the equipment, tough luck, go get it, or
yeah,
make modifications. Also, that you're going to see rep ranges in there that are just like highly inappropriate for you at the time, or weights that are like, I shouldn't be using that, right? You'll see a lot of that. Or even really, I would argue most people doing a cookie cutter program are getting a large amount of irresponsible fitness in. Doing
yeah.
too much for what they're ready for, all that stuff. Like
Then you get
where
hurt,
it's
you
like
get
it could,
discouraged.
yeah, it could be way more, I don't want to say the word comfortable with, but for lack of a better term, comfortable, and still have the same outcome.
Yeah. Um, tie this whole thing together here real fast. Like before the open, right? There were so many new people at the gym
Mhm.
that I'd be like, "Yo, you gonna sign up?" They're like, "No." This is my first 2 weeks of CrossFit. I'm like, "You're crazy. I'm not gonna sign up for that." We got a couple of them to actually do it, realized that, like, you could adjust the workouts, and
Yeah.
everybody had a great time, right? Nobody
Yeah.
has to do freaking bar muscle ups or ring muscle ups if you
Yeah.
don't have it, like, and nobody's gonna make fun of you, right?
Mhm.
So, that whole sorry, got side I had to say it out
No,
loud.
that's I mean, in CrossFit, we know that we're trying to be the best of all the buckets, right? um, Especially at CrossFit Magni, right? Where we're trying to make sure that there is the right amount of accountability. There is obviously location wise, we can't do much more about that, but
Yeah,
we're hoping that we're hitting that convenient demographic. Um, and then we know that being around social environment and getting people results is all going to lead to an improved ego control, as well as just seeing long-term outcomes in their life, right? So that's what we're trying to cultivate, all the buckets. But obviously, um, I would argue there's a lot of gyms also trying to cultivate that. It's not just us. But let's go a little deeper. So we've got convenience that we kind of hit hard. We started kind of talking about accountability because of how convenience can be weighed. So we know convenience is important. Is it the most important? Probably not. Kind of depends on the person. And then you go into accountability. There's a lot of different ways to talk about accountability. We talk about meeting a friend at the gym, right? Exchanging phone numbers with someone in the same class time as you in a CrossFit scenario. It could be social media based, where it's like you said on your social media, I'm going to post every day. about this, and I want my friends to hold me accountable. It could be something like that, like, hey, did you do your sit-ups today? Whatever it is, right? As simple as you want to make it. That could be a level of accountability. Could be the coach, right? Hiring a coach who's actually going to tell you when to be there, what you're going to do, things like that. And then there's like cost. Like some people, I've had conversations with some people where it's like they wanted to sign up, but they make a lot of money. And so $150 or whatever a month is just like pocket change for them. It's nothing, right? And so I've had that honest conversation, be like, does that feel like it's going to make you change your life and build some consistency? And they've said no. And I was like, well, then let's pay more. Like,
Yeah.
just flat out, right? Like now,
Yeah.
obviously, when someone pays more, I try to deliver more value, but that's the reality sometimes is people do need to be more invested to get the outcome. And I'm no different. I think most people are very motivated by some higher levels of accountability. For me, a financial accountability is pretty significant. Right. So if I'm financially incentivized to do work, I'm going to probably do the work.
Yeah. And better.
And yeah, and put all the effort into it, not miss anything, eat right, sleep right. Like I want to make no excuses for why that didn't work. And I know there's a chance I get my money back if I did everything right and truly, truly did everything right and I didn't get the outcome.
And
Most people would be okay with just being like, fine, have your money. You're right. Like, but like, I don't know if anybody's ever really done that,
yeah,
like done the work.
makes sense. So it's funny how like in the beginning of this conversation we were like, oh, what's the most important thing? And it for me the first thing was like, oh, location. Like that's going to be the first thing that I
Yeah.
would think. And it's slowly becoming like not important, right? It's
Yeah,
just like
I mean, I
figure it
agree.
out.
I think convenience is important, especially getting the wheel turning for some people. But again, you can't just be so aggressive towards that convenience that you ignore the fact that you go to a Globo gym, like Axiom or Gold's Gym or something, and the amount of accountability there is so small that it's not worth however convenient it was.
Yeah. Or just right outside your garage door.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Again, the cost is actually really low, but then the accountability is really low.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go. So accountability, I think for me, money is one of the greatest forms of accountability, but it also could be in the form of like some people see the number of check-ins they get, and that's kind of what holds them accountable, right? So at our gym, we do like a club, or at least we're starting to, called See You in Valhalla, or the Valhalla Club, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's a certain number of check-ins, gets you into the club, gets you into a drawing to win things, but it also gives you the peace of mind that you're at least putting in the work enough in the gym, right? Um, so you can check that box. There's some level of accountability there. Maybe it's also helping some ego and some outcome just by having that little incentive, right? So
Yeah.
they're all going to tie together. And no, I do not give people credit if they do 2 workouts in a day for 2 separate check-ins.
Dude. That's all right. I get it. I get it. There's a lot of people at the gym. I was sitting back biting my tongue. Did you see that? I was like,
Yes, you're so mad.
because like I think last month I did like, and you were right when you were like, you'll be fine. It's early in the month. Last month I think I did like 21 check-ins or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
But
You're freaking out for no reason.
knowing that I couldn't put my score in really agitated me, and knowing that that was one less that was gonna show up when I did the workout, right? It was
Mhm.
like, but you know what? I'm not gonna mess up again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially if you were just so quickly to tell me that you couldn't fix it, and I was like, "I know you can fix it, man." I was like,
Well, but let's also look at the spirit of the club
yeah,
too. The spirit of the club is to get people to show up on a consistent basis. It's not to not come in for 5 days and do 5 workouts in a day and hope for all the credit, because that would be an unsafe way to approach it, right?
yeah,
So it's more about getting the frequency in the gym in person. So while I get your sentiment and I understand your frustration, Again, for
So
me,
many.
it's the precedent I don't want to set either. And
Yeah,
the whole
no, I don't
point
blame
of
you.
the club is multiple days a week, not one day do all the workouts. Not that
Yeah.
that's the other extreme of what you did, but
Yeah.
2 workouts isn't as big a deal.
Dude, that was a good it was a good day to do those 2 workouts. Like, I saw
Yeah, it
that.
was.
I was like, "You know what? I could do that. I could do this."
Yeah.
And plus, I'm
No.
holding myself accountable to trying to, like, see results. What if that workout comes back up and I forget how many I did? You know what I mean? I almost
Yeah, I
texted
think if it's
myself.
not like a very popular named workout, it's probably not coming up again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or like an obvious like 5K row.
Yeah.
It might not have a name, but it's like it's 5K row. We're gonna do that again.
I was really impressed with it too. Did you do that workout yesterday or day
Um,
before?
no, Wednesday. No, I didn't.
The
I
handstand
did.
one?
I'm
Okay.
doing something called Weird Shit Wednesdays right now.
Oh, yeah, you were
It's where
talking
I
about that.
take 30 to 60 minutes and I go around the gym and just do weird shit, whether I'm
And
just making it up or seeing it online and trying it or
did you name the banded workout you did? And I guess you could tell.
no, I didn't know what to call it. It was like I think I called it banded neck rotations.
It's a really boring name.
Yeah. Um,
You
I
need
mean,
a
I could come up
creative
with fun
director.
names, but the problem with coming up with fun names is nobody has any fucking clue what it is when they read it.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Well, I guess you're right. I would know probably exactly what the workout or what the movement would be based
yeah,
off of your name.
everybody has an idea right now what it is. And it's the same with there's a few things out there. I'm trying to think of a good example and I can't, but there are a few names out there. Oh, like pizza flip.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
we
with
don't
the
know
with the
exactly what that
plate?
is, but when you find out what it is, you're like, "Ah, yeah, that makes perfect sense," you know?
Yeah. You didn't come up with that though, right? Pizza
No,
flip? I used to work
no.
at a pizza joint, and that would not hold the pizza. You would have a mess of pizza everywhere based off of what that
Uh,
workout would be. Just call it pizza on the floor or something like that. Be a
yeah,
little bit
just so
more realistic.
everyone watching knows, a pizza flip is where you take a plate and you touch the ground and then you bring it to your overhead position.
It's like
Um, that's one
upside down
pizza
pizza.
flip.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you would not act it doesn't actually go right in it, but because it's shaped similar to a
Yeah.
pizza
I mean, it makes sense.
and you're
It makes
flipping it,
sense.
I mean,
Yeah, flip the
yeah.
pizza. I had
So
to show
why
you how
not?
I toss a pizza too.
Did you really?
I can toss a pizza like the whole thing like
Oh,
up in
that
the
sounds
sky.
fun.
Yeah,
I
it's
can too,
awesome.
but it doesn't come down in the same like shape.
Dude, like if there were a
But I
pizza
could toss a
Olympics,
pizza in the sky.
if there were a pizza Olympics, I wouldn't have been invited, but I would have tried out because like I could spin the dough in my finger and then like toss it back
That's
up.
impressive.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
know it's
why
crazy.
Katie picked you, right?
Yeah, actually one of the first meals that I made for Katie was a pizza because it was what I knew how to do. It was just I can make a
So
pizza.
you were just I just see it, you just casually
Yeah,
invite her over. It's like maybe your second date and you're like, "Hey,
you want a
not
pizza?
breaking eye contact and getting
Yeah,
that.
and that's what it was hot. And a
Did you want
few
some wine?"
months
You're
later,
like
yeah,
spinning
I
it and pouring the wine at the same time.
then the kids are so fascinated with it too, because I'll every now and then I'll just pull it out for them. We have a little pizza oven. They're like,
Mhm.
"Well, I wanna try," and then, like, Charlie hucks it on the floor. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah, for
"Yeah,
sure.
you're not mine."
God, you had to learn somewhere, Jeff.
Yeah, I know, right?
Um,
Start somewhere. Sorry.
okay. I know it's fun to get derailed.
Yeah,
So I think accountability to me largely comes in the form of cost, but it also comes in the form of connections. Um, like who are we meeting? When are we meeting them? Do they give a shit? Are they checking in with me? Things like that. So
yeah,
making connections in that atmosphere or whatever can also be a form of accountability, which is why I believe CrossFit has kind of struck a nice balance there because the coaches can offer a level of accountability, the price can offer a level of accountability, but then the members connecting with each other adds another level of accountability that I argue in a lot of cases, those are the most uh, strong connections of accountability is when you and someone else that is on the same, relationship level are doing it. Because oftentimes I'm checking in with people and it's like, well, I pay him to do that,
yeah,
right? Um, but when it's your friend, they aren't getting paid. You guys are on the same level. There's no exchange of money, right? It's just you in that relationship that they actually care
yeah,
continues.
like-minded individuals around good people, right?
Yeah.
Dude, freaking Ted, Brian, you, like, all the people that I love seeing Kurt, all those people.
Yeah.
Just making up names now. Nobody really knows who I'm talking about.
But it's true. I think
Yeah.
I do think those are arguably the more important things, and that's why a situation like CrossFit in a group fitness style the way it is, it has all of the layers of accountability to some degree. Now, could it be more expensive and you create even more accountability? Absolutely. But should it be less expensive? Probably not. Now, knowing the numbers I know, you wouldn't see a CrossFit gym for cheaper, not for
Yeah.
very long.
Yeah. Man, and it is like, first of all, you don't pay me to say this, but like, dude, kudos to you. I think that this is the longest time I've been at a gym that was like around. You know what I mean? Because some of them
Yeah,
just
I
like
know what you mean.
go under. So
Yeah,
nice job, man.
it's a
Whatever you're doing.
hard, I won't lie, it's a hard gig. There's been
Yeah.
times in my career as a CrossFit gym owner where I've just been like, do I pull the plug and go coach and make way more money because all I have to do is coach?
Yeah. Pull the ripcord.
um, and that's something I think I'm good enough at to do. But
Yeah.
the overall answer was no, because it doesn't build the things that I want it to build necessarily. It doesn't work towards the outcome I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Um, in a large degree, that, and I've already invested so much of my time and energy that it's like we're really close to making this thing extra special.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to
Don't
get
give
there
up.
for. Moving on though, ego. I think this is the most challenging topic, but everybody to some degree is hoping that they get something in their relationship with themselves out of the gym. And I think this is where you typically will categorize things like weight loss, gaining muscle, getting lean. You categorize those there, but those are actually more outcomes. They're not part of the ego thing.
Mhm.
However, it's the pursuit of those that give people ego. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm
So,
following you.
like me gaining 20 pounds of muscle wasn't that which produced the ego. It was the fact that the hard work I'm putting in on the nutrition and the fitness is making everything line up,
Yeah.
and it's worth all my effort, and I'm getting to show something for my effort to myself, to others, whatever it might be. I'm also in the struggles of doing that day in and day out. I've learned so much more about myself than if I just had everything handed to me, right?
Yep.
So that's where the ego is, right? The ego is the self. And so we're trying to learn about ourselves in our fitness endeavor, whether that's one of the buckets we're truly like, why would I choose this gym? Well, my ego, you usually don't talk about that, but that's going on behind the scenes
Yeah.
all the time.
The Wizard of Oz back there pulling all the strings.
Yeah. And then there's, so ego, we don't want to go too in depth of. It's kind of the information you get about yourself on the journey. Whereas the outcome, those are like, this is what you tangibly have now. I live longer. I have better blood markers for my checkups with my doctor, let's say. I no longer have type 2 diabetes. I no longer have joint pain, or in the path of learning about joint pain, I'm actually creating a stronger joint than I ever had in the first place. Right.
Yeah.
And then there's I've lost weight, I've gained muscle, I look leaner, whatever it is, I perform better, right? Those are all outcomes now that, yes, your ego is going to be a part of that relationship, but ultimately, these outcomes are what we can tangibly hold in a sense. I know we can't physically hold, I mean, technically, you could physically hold the weight you lost,
Yeah.
but
Or you can't physically hold your kid without hurting,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Um, and then, I mean, you can't like hold, I guess, like again, you can hold your PR time on Fran or something like that. But
Yeah.
um, the point is, these are all kind of like things where we can measurably see our improvements. And that's kind of the main thing, is the outcomes are measurable.
Yeah.
And so when CrossFit was created as a methodology, it was kind of set out to be like, let's make everything measurable, which is why all the workouts are for time or reps, because they needed more measurable ways to show that we're fitter.
It's like we're moving in the right direction. Like
Yeah,
something's
because I mean,
actually
but
happening.
before that, I mean, you're doing bodybuilding, 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 10, 5 sets of 10, check. 3 sets of 8, 4 sets of 8, 5 sets of 8, check. All right, I'm getting bored. Okay, 1 set of 10, 1 set of 8, 1 set of 6, 1 set of 8, 1 set of 10. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of like that's bodybuilding to some degree, right? Or I'm going to pair it with another movement now, but
Was the burpee ever a thing before CrossFit?
yeah,
Oh, really?
most of what you see in CrossFit was not invented by CrossFit.
Oh,
It's just taking from all these different disciplines and then putting it together to in a creative way, and usually in a way that makes some logical sense too.
yeah.
Um, like when you look at Fran, you've got um, a lower body push into an upper body push, right into an upper body pull. So we've kind of hit 3 different major movement types in one workout. But it wasn't redundant in that you went from push to push to push.
Yeah, yeah, changing it up. I gotta
Um,
do Fran again. It's been I haven't done it in like 2.5 years, I think. Be
oh,
interesting to see how that
I
stacks up.
think that's one of those workouts I have a deep fear of.
I wanna get
So
better at
much
butterfly
effort.
pull-ups actually before I do Fran again.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's worthwhile to
Yeah.
pursue a skill separately, then bring it back to the fold into the fold if you have that uh, ability or that liberty. Sometimes when you guys don't do the programming for yourselves or whatever, right? It just is what it is. It comes up
Yeah,
when it comes up.
there it is.
Um, but yeah, so anyway, I think outcome is the other thing that you should be looking for in a gym. So if we wrap this all in, we're all looking for what should we look for in the gym? Well, it should be convenient enough. That's it, right?
Yeah,
Convenient enough.
like really
Um,
down here though.
can you show up to it? Cool.
Yeah.
Um, 2, there's got to be some layers of accountability, whether that's multiple layers like CrossFit offers, where it's okay, the price is steeper than my Globo gym. The coach is there and they're kind of holding me accountable to moving well, but also they're holding me accountable to showing up every day because they're asking where I've been,
Mhm.
things like that. And then there's like the connections I make with other people there. And as long as those are still happening, then now I've got these 3 layers of accountability, right? So we got convenience, accountability, we got ego. Am I learning things every day? Typically, that's all you really have to ask yourself. If you're learning, you're probably getting the ego stuff taken care of the way it's supposed to. And then, am I also receiving any outcomes? Is my performance going up? And in turn, is my body weight going down if that's how I'm eating for it, whatever? Am I eating better? That could sometimes just be the outcome of exercise. And be like, well, I don't want to waste what I've done there, so I'm going to eat
Yeah.
better, right? Sometimes that psychologically plays that. And then there's all the other kinds of outcomes too of just like you're getting this endorphins, serotonin, all that stuff. Those can be beneficial. Those can also be taken overboard. So um, those are kind of like I would say the main buckets of what to look for in a gym. But if we want to break this down and get a little bit more specific, things you should not consider is whether there's a free trial or not, right? Why would I say that? So if there's a free trial to the gym,
Mhm.
that could mean multiple things. It could mean that
Dura
the
what hold
gym,
on, duration, what like, are we talking 7 days, 10 days, or does it not matter?
I don't think it matters.
Okay,
I
alright.
think typically a free trial to a gym is it's kind of like a begging you to come in,
Yeah,
and it oftentimes means there's some doubt like on their end. They're not sure they can produce all this stuff. They just want you
yeah.
to come try it and hope you get hooked on the serotonin and the endorphin aspect of it and cross your fingers, right? There's that. On free trials, they might throw up a smoke screen of accountability when it comes to reaching out to you, make sure you're still showing up.
Mhm.
But if that doesn't continue after you've signed up, it means nothing.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had that conversation, then what's the point? Um, and then free trials are the ultimate form of convenience to the degree where it's easy for you to take it totally for granted and not take it seriously,
It's free.
right? Um, I also would put in our circumstance, we have, let's say 10 people moving and one coach. Well, this coach is really dedicated to these 10 people. If someone's walking in off the street, how much can that coach be dedicated to those 10 people when he has to take care of the 11th person,
Yeah.
right? Who has no idea what they're doing, let's say. Or let's say they do know what they're doing. How does this demonstrate the level of accountability and that we are going to give you as a business when you just try whatever happened to come up on the whiteboard that day? And let's say the coach had a bad day or a bad night's sleep or broke up with their girlfriend right before coaching class,
Mhm.
right? What if something like that happened that's really not within anybody's control there? You're judging this gym off of one instance. Maybe it's a
Yep.
week worth of instances. I would argue a week is okay to judge a gym off of, but it's like it shouldn't be part of what you're looking for. What you should be looking for is it convenient? Is it going to hold you accountable? And that would be your first two things to talk about. Do you
Yeah.
think it will produce the outcomes you're looking for? And that's it. I would
Yeah,
say
what
those
you're
are
look
the three. The ego is always going to happen in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could consciously target it. It's going to happen kind of subconscious. So is it convenient enough? Is there going to be accountability in this gym? And that's usually going to be demonstrated through conversations with the coach. Is it going to produce the outcome? Also going to be demonstrated through conversations with the coach. It's not going to be demonstrated by what the workout was that day.
Yeah.
That workout has no correlation to the results you're going to get, right?
On a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you're only taking one day in account, you do a whole week, you do get a better snapshot, but still,
Better idea.
most training programs shift every few weeks. So even going a full week doesn't really give you the whole picture,
Yeah.
right? Also, how does that make you feel going week after week after week after week, right? Like, are they talking to you about how they're going to help you along the way? So really, if you're not being coached in that trial run, let's say, especially, you're screwed. Like,
Yeah.
you're
It's set
signing
up
up
for failure.
for energy, not for anything else, and that's short-lived. It's like a spark,
Yeah.
right?
I would add one more thing, and I mentioned it earlier, is, like, speaking from experience, like, longevity and, like, how long somebody's been around too. Like, if I were to, like, change gyms or, like, move somewhere, I would look and see, like, how long have they been around? Because
Mhm.
like, just changing names and moving on and, like, shutting down, you have to reestablish all those things that you've been working for as far as, like, connections with, like, the coaches and, like, the connections with the people that you're actually going to the gym with.
Yeah.
Like, looking at those things because it's tough to, like, go and then have to re-kickstart all that stuff, that you've been working on for so long, to build those relationships, and they know who
Yeah.
you are and what you've been going through. It's like,
And you
it's
see
such
that
a pain.
you see a lot of people move from one town to another, and then so they did CrossFit, and they're like, "Well, my coach does this," and it's like you don't have that coach anymore. You
Yeah,
need to one kind of reset, and then two, no expectations. Go in, just know what's important to you.
yeah,
Did I get coached? Period. Not how was the coaching like. He didn't tell me what weight to put on. It's like that's not the job of a coach,
yeah,
right? Job of the coach is to teach you to move better.
yeah,
Right now, ideally, he can give you an idea for yourself to know what weight, but when they just met you, they're not telling you what weight. So don't tell me about the coach you've had for 7 years who can tell you exactly what weight you put on the bar. It'll
yeah,
happen with time,
yeah,
but we just met. Like,
yeah, yeah, and you've only
I've
got
had
7
people
days
say
to
shit like
figure it
that.
out with me.
Yeah.
So
Um, but ultimately, I think that the free trial takes away from paying members. That's ultimately what I was getting at,
oh,
right?
okay.
So whether you're at a Globo gym or a CrossFit gym, it's taking away from the people who are paying, because if it's at a Globo gym, you're using the machine, you're putting wear and tear on things, you're in the shower longer, you're taking a stall away from somebody, a squat rack away from somebody, whatever. But everybody else who's paid is probably, if they ever caught wind, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is with all these people using the gym for free and I'm paying and I don't get
Yeah.
access to it, right? So for us, we're big on the coaching side of things. We want things to be coached. So if we have that 11th person that needs all of our attention and the other 10 don't get any of it, we just miss the mark
Good
for
memory.
that. And those are the ones who are paying, right?
Yeah. That
The
makes
other thing
sense.
is you're looking to make a long-term investment in a relationship. Not a very good start if it's already not worth it to you to pay.
Yeah.
like, like we ask people to have a consultation with us. Sometimes that includes a workout, sometimes it's just an assessment, sometimes it's neither, it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
But we try to identify in these, would you even be right for us?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to step foot in my gym thinking you own the place and you get to just try it out. I want you to step foot in my gym wanting to grow and be a better person. So it wouldn't be good for me to just plug you into a workout when I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
It
And
might
the
hurt
dollar
everybody
sign.
else in the long run too.
Yeah.
So I safeguard that by not having a free trial for most people, right? and then have that conversation, figure out where's the best fit for this person. Is CrossFit a good idea? Is it not a good idea? In the case where it's maybe not the best idea, is they had a pretty significant injury, and they have the type of personality that's a go-getter. They're probably not
Mhm.
going to be ones that are easy to control going into that. Now, if I feel like I can control it, awesome, this is a good place, right? If I can't control that, why don't you get healthy first and come back, right? Just on that one joint, right? Totally depends
Yep.
on that person though. And so that's why the conversation is important. There's not like a set number of questions to ask and then I learn everything and CrossFit's good for you or not, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it's more like, what's the vibe here?
I like it.
But anyway, I think when you're looking for a gym, you got to know convenience, accountability, and outcomes. Are you going to
You're
get it?
set. Know where to get it.
All right, this is for me, this is the end. I got to go pick up
Yeah.
Catherine.
Same. I mean, not pick up Catherine, but Charlie.
And be a dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta look at like I got some weird text message from my son. I gotta figure out what's going on there. And then I think I hear Lily too. So
Nice.
all right.
Well, see you at episode 12.
See you in episode 12. Maybe someday we'll be organized enough to tell you what episode 12 is going to
Coming
be
up. Yeah, I know,
ahead of
right?
time. But
Let's work on that.
right now I kind of like the candid reaction to a
Shooting
topic.
from the
So,
hip.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. See you
Thanks.